If you are a B2B service-based business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact and more revenue in your business, tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Campbell Rapin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers that convert consistently. We'll see you all on the inside. Without a doubt, experiences matter. Getting in the room with other people is the catalyst that cannot be duplicated by AI. And yet, running a retreat as a business owner is more than just an expensive holiday that you go to with people in the world of business. And today I'm super excited to introduce our guest because she is a phenom when it comes to this industry. She has taught me so much in just a few conversations we've had, and she's going to help us really get our mind straight on why we want a beautiful retreat, how to not just run one that is amazing, but sells out and delivers a bottom line profit. Please welcome to our show today, Dr. Sheri Rosenthal. I'm super excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Christine. I'm really excited. You know how passionate I am about retreats. So every opportunity I have to speak about them, I am right here with you.
I can't wait to have this conversation. And I want to talk about this whole idea because, during COVID, we couldn't travel. The world was shut down. And we are seeing this, I don't know if renaissance or boom is happening with the retreat space. But why are retreats so important and why are they growing so quickly in the world of business right now?
Okay, well, it is very important because people are very burnt out right now. It's like we followed the pandemic by all of this craziness in the world, in the United States, the divisiveness that's going on. So people are stressed. They're constantly stressed. And a retreat is the perfect way to get people out of their normal circumstances so that they can go inside, they can get clarity, whatever the retreat is specifically about. But having the time to pull away from their everyday life is really what is important. And I think more than ever, this is the time to do so.
And is retreats as a style to deliver content, community, and create revenue growth appropriate for every business, or what businesses are better set up to really ride this wave?
I think anyone can do it. And actually, Christine, we have some people who are not coaches, but they do the retreats because it's more of a hobby that they're teaching. For example, like wine retreats, knitting retreats. So it doesn't have to just be, for example, someone who's doing a business retreat or a spiritual retreat or a speaking retreat. Like you could be a coach that teaches people how to speak from the stage, and you take them to Europe and you have them speak in an amphitheater.
Cool.
In that energy of the ancient orators. So that is really sweet. It's really anybody who has either a hobby or a group of people that they want to gather together. So it doesn't really matter.
Okay, so now we have our minds floating into it's possible for me, but how do we actually not make the common mistakes? And what do you think the biggest mistake people make on retreat planning is?
A couple of things. First of all, people are so used to doing workshops and live events that is their mentality when they're designing their retreat. And what is important, first and foremost, is alignment, that you make sure that your retreat theme matches the location. So that's why I mentioned, for example, the speaking retreat, right? Because you could do a speaking workshop inside the nearest airport hotel, or you could take your people for a real experience. And that's what people are looking for right now. They want an actual experience of something. They want to be blown away. They want their head turned around. So you have to do that. It's not a workshop in a pretty place. That is
that distinction.
Yes, that's the important distinction. The second problem is in pricing. So people are more familiar for pricing a workshop, but
Mhm.
normally with a workshop, you are totally unbundled. So you're charging for your teaching, but they are buying their hotel and food separately. When you're running a retreat, normally it's all inclusive. So you have to price really carefully. You may want 10 people to come to your retreat. If you price on 10 people, you could end up losing money if only 5 people come. So the way of pricing, totally different. And also what I see very often with my heart-based entrepreneurs is that they don't value what they bring to the table. And so they underprice themselves. In other words, they look and see, oh, so and so is doing a retreat to Bali and they're charging $4,000. I can't charge more than that. Meanwhile, they're staying at a five-star retreat and, you know, they need to up their prices. They just forgot that they needed to build value on the retreat sales page so that people understand why the retreat costs what it costs. If you do that, people do understand why your price is what it is.
Well, and I think this is important because I've seen that pricing mistake firsthand when I work with clients where, they've thought about the natural costs, the airline, the flights, the
Yeah,
food, an
yeah,
excursion or two or things like that. But
yes,
I always also remind them, what about if you are delivering content or you're going to bring in speakers, the value of the setting is absolutely part of the message and the alignment piece.
yes.
So is the value not just of your time, but of the transformation you might lead. Don't forget to include yourself in the price equation. So often they're like, I never thought I was a separate line item.
Exactly. Okay, so your net profit is a line item.
Yeah.
And that is one of the mistakes most people make. So it's usually the leftover money at the end of the retreat. That's what they make instead of making a particular line item for what they want to net per person. So that is a problem. The other problem I would say is in marketing and then monetizing.
Mhm.
So a retreat is not a standalone item. In other words, there should be some sort of follow up because otherwise to me it's abandonment. You just did this amazing retreat. Your people had all of this transformation. Then you're letting them go home to what? They're
To
falling
their
back.
normal lives and the routine and the stress and the overwhelm they were just trying to escape from.
Yes, exactly, with no support. So, retreats are not standalone items. You really need to have a follow-up to that, and you need to, of course, in promoting your retreat, have a really good, uh, plan of getting that retreat out there and educating people on why they need the retreat, not just assuming people are going to understand that. Because a lot of times in retreat marketing, you see people go, hey, I've got this retreat. It's really great. It's these dates. It's in this place. And that is not going to sell a retreat these days. It's much more difficult. You have to have a very compelling sales page that really builds value and educates people on you know, who is it for and what they're going to walk away with.
And at the same time, not overstuffing, trying to justify the value. This is something I know you and I were chatting about. It's
Yeah,
retreats are an escape from the ordinary. We do not need to necessarily, we have to have support, but we don't need to orchestrate every minute of the day to justify the price. It is
correct.
about thinking, what is the transformation the other person has? What value do they have and meaning associated to that value that
Yes,
pulls through firm commitments, credit cards, and people that actually show up? Because you're right, the math is the math. The costs get really dangerous when you start to see cancellations and things like that happen.
exactly. Exactly, Christine.
So we want to talk about the balance or the harmony, I think actually is a better way to look at that, between impact and profit. Both are part of the equation. And I see this missed time and time again. What makes an impactful retreat as somebody who's helped thousands of people put together them?
Okay, so for me, again, it's in the formulation of what you're doing. And when I look at a retreat, if I'm planning a retreat, I'm saying, okay, my clients are at point A. I want to get them to point B. What needs to happen? What needs to unfold, and in what order during this retreat to make that happen so that I can fulfill my promise to them for this retreat? So a lot of times, again, people will think about it as a workshop, and that's where the location comes in planning activities that are not separate from the theme of your retreat, but are part of the retreat. And that's the difference, because you
Mhm.
could say, okay, we're meeting in the morning and then you have the afternoon free, and these are some activities you can do. To me, that lowers the value of the retreat. If the activity further supports what you are sharing, or maybe you don't even teach at all in the morning, but everything is live and experiential, that's even more powerful. And that's the formula that I originally learned when I started with retreats, because I studied with Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the Four Agreements, and his retreats are totally experiential. So you go out on the land wherever you are, and there's always some experience that you're having, and those experiences keep building upon one another. So it's a different way of looking at the experiences. There's lots of live experiences, right? There's, as I
Mhm.
said, retreats, workshops, live from the stage, and all different variations on those themes. But for retreats specifically, I think if you can wrap your head around that idea of alignment, it's going to change everything.
I can see that big difference, and we've been chatting in a group that I'm part of, a mastermind, that I have
Uh-huh.
retreats as part of the experience and the commitment I make for this year. And we've been talking about the orchestration, and that the experiences are not nice to do things. They're integral for a discovery, a community build, a
Mhm.
disruptive pattern, or something. And it is really important to look at the strategy first and make sure we're really thinking about what you just said was so powerful to me. Hearing it was, my clients are here and I want them to get to here, versus I just want to go do this thing and who wants to come along for the ride.
Exactly. Exactly. I'll give you another example. So one of the places that Don Miguel used to love to go to was one of the ruins in Mexico called Teotihuacan, and there's two pyramids there of the moon and the sun, and it has what's called the Avenue of the Dead.
Mhm.
And so he would take us out every day to the different plazas and give us an activity to do. Like maybe it's pick up a rock and pretend that's you and you're burying it at your own funeral. Go through the process of that burial and imagine what all of the people at that funeral would be saying about you right now. And do you like that? And what would you want to change?
Mhm.
So it's not a discussion. It's experiential on the land using the energy of the place. So that may sound a little far out there and not work for every kind of retreat. But again, like I gave you an example with the speaker, or even let's pick the knitting retreat. Let's say instead of doing it on a cruise or on a beach, you went and did it in New Zealand during sheep shearing time, where they're actually turning that wool into skeins and hand dyeing it. And how can you be part of that process so you really appreciate this like 7,000-year-old process of knitting?
Yeah. I think the distinction is so clear. Like, the learning is not necessarily transference me to you. We may generate, we may orchestrate, we may facilitate as the event
Yes.
host, but what really is important, that you give the breathing space for the reflection. And that's where it's so important not to overstuff the day. And it may feel the first time you run a retreat, that's like, is it enough? I mean, all of us have that. I don't know a single business owner who launches something and doesn't go, is it enough? We don't know. We have to float it. And it is breathing time for the
Yes.
impact and the self reflection. I love what you also say, doesn't stop the moment you pack your bags and go home. You have to think about the longer support plan because it should lead to something. I had this very significant conversation with a group I'm facilitating right now and said, remember, we talk about leads and new people can come in through a retreat or they can come in through any number of style choices of the strategy. Yes. But you're leading them to you. Don't forget that then you lead them to something else. And that's personal discovery, personal results. Yes, perhaps further support as needed. And what's important is that it is intentional to be epic, not accidental and a cool vacation that we hope somebody else pays for our holiday. And I think there's market we see, of course, in our social media on both sides of that.
Exactly. I agree with you 1,000%.
So let me ask you one final question here. And it is about, this idea of like, how do you sell a retreat without being salesy? Because at the end of the day, this could be significant dollars. It is a significant commitment to get out of your normal routine. And we want them to be profitable. We want them to be full. What would you give for guidance to us here?
Well, I don't think of sales as salesy. To me, it's an opportunity for somebody to step up and change their life. So I'm making the space for that. My retreat is making the space for that. I feel like if I don't take the time to speak to a client about my retreat, then I'm letting them down. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm abandoning them in their process. So it's not like I'm a used car salesman. I'm not trying to sell the retreat. I'm trying to express to somebody how this experience is going to take them where they really want to be and how it's going to change their life in a positive way. So I'm selling that outcome. I'm not selling the retreat, really.
I love everything about that because that's so in alignment with how we see the world. And I'm going to be running a retreat in my business later this fall, and I'm co-leading it. And the conversation is, this is a very curated invite. This is not for everybody. This is a group we are looking intentionally about our chemistries, our goals, the complement of the group. Like, it is, any kind of group facilitation is so much more than X times Y equals revenue dollars. It is so much more than that. And what I love is, if you have the heart to help somebody get a result, a conversation is the fast vehicle for you both. And all you can do is offer, curate, create, and then let it breathe. See what happens.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
All right. I want to know, because I ask every guest that comes onto our platform, you obviously run retreats and you're spectacular at facilitating others to do a great job. How are you building your business right now? What's amplifying in your lane to create the next client?
Once a year, Christine, we do our very big online Rock Your Sold Out retreat educational event. It's a 3-day event that actually goes on for 5 days. I don't know why I call it a 3-day event, but the majority of it is in the main 3 days. And it's a basically pay by donation event. So we don't exclude anybody. That's our model for that event. And then, of course, we share our signature program, which is the Retreat Blueprint program. And people absolutely go crazy during this event. This year, we had over 5,000 people. Last year, we had over 5,000 people coming online to the event. And it was so fun. And people were so excited. And it really makes a difference in our community because people get to know, like, and trust us. They get to know my point of view and where I'm coming from and how I educate. And it lets me be me. And I can have fun with the people who are attending and make new friends. So that by far gets us a whole bunch of new clients that we can nurture throughout the year, whether they purchase the program at that moment or purchase it a year or two from now, or they don't do that, but they come on one of our retreats or do something within our company. So this is what works for us. And the reviews that we get for this event are off the charts. So far, that is working fabulous for us. And I'm going to keep doing it until it doesn't.
I love that, because I love what's everything about it, because it's in alignment with who you are, what you stand for, and it's fun. Because guys, seriously, if you're not building fun in your business, what are we doing here? I don't understand. And we get to choose how we show up. So I want to ask you, how do people find you? Because they might want to know just about this event and obviously about Wanderlust Entrepreneur and what you do there.
Yes. So we have a few resources. If you feel like putting them in the show notes, Christine, we have a retreat hotline that we do weekly on Tuesdays at noon, New York time. And people can come on for an hour. We teach a little and we answer questions. That's fun. We have a masterclass that they can sign up for if they like. And our website, wanderlustentrepreneur.com, has so much information on it and so many resources that people have. But I think those three things are the top goodies that people will be able to learn more about us, learn more about doing retreats properly so they can make the money they deserve. And yeah, that's what I would do.
Guys, go collect. If you have not already connected with Sheri and her team, please go do that. They are an amazing community, and we are both collectively inviting you to amplify your marketing message by considering retreats, not in some distant future, but in the next 12 to 18 months. Now is the time. People need community, and we want it to be done in a great way. And we're here both collectively to support you doing it. Thank you for being our guest today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. This is Sheri Rosenthal. I want you to go find her, go connect to her, and go have an awesome retreat and tell us where it is and let us know where we're going next.
Thank you so much, Christine.
You are so welcome. We'll see you guys all on our next episode. That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit christinecampbellrapin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message. We'll see you all on our next episode.